Okay, gamers. Now, I have told you a lot about the runs we have seen so far and the incentives we have planned, but I am so excited to tell you that up next we have an interview planned with shovelclaws, who will be running Symphony tomorrow. So enjoy.
Hello, welcome back to Hope for the Holidays. I am Twinkatu. I am here with shovelclaws. We're going to talk about some indie games. Shovel, would
Yay!
you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll be running Stephanie and Grapple Dogs for this event. Two indie platformers that I like a lot, and am one of the few people who like. I'm literally the only active runner for Stephanie, so I'm very excited to be running the two. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, very exciting. So tell us specifically about Stephanie. How did you find the game and what drew you to it as a speed game?
I think initially I saw it back on Twitter because I saw the dev post it, and I follow a lot of indie devs. That's kind of how I keep in the loop of game development and what games are releasing. And I just saw the dev, Angelizic Productions. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not, but they posted a clip of their game, and it looked like this really interesting like parkour platformer. And that's kind of what drew me in initially. And then when I played it, it really stood out to me because of its story. It takes place on this deserted island with a bunch of weird non-humanoid creatures that you engage with in this puzzle element that the game has. That's kind of like Tetris. And between that is a bunch of really cool and really interesting level design that you use the parkour platformer moveset to navigate, and it's a really fun game. And the story is really weird. It's really gay. It's all sorts of messed up, but it had a really elegant flow to the gameplay loop, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this would be a great speed run." And there's a few movement tricks in specific that make it a really great speed run too. That I'm really excited for everyone to see.
When you're playing new games kind of more generally, are there specific mechanics or things that stand out that make you go, oh, I should speedrun this?
I think the core thing for me, at least, is does the game have good movement? Because I am a platformer speedrunner at heart, and nothing gets me going like a really cool and in-depth movement system. It's just, I think the simple pleasure of chaining a bunch of moves together in a really elegant flow has no comparison. It's so good. Almost every single one of the games I've run just has a really clean movement system. But I think further than that, I really try to keep an eye out when I'm casually playing for skip ideas and like what is the progression blocker in this area. One, because that helps me actually get through games casually. I'm so bad about getting lost. But the nice thing is that once you get into some of the routing, you're keeping that all in mind for how you're going to approach the game as a speed game, because you already know the bare minimum, and you know, as you start routing out, you play around with it more and find out what is actually the bare minimum, and usually that answer is a lot lower than you thought during your casual playthrough.
Totally. Related to that, I know that you end up routing a lot of the games that you run. Do you have advice for beginners and people who are kind of intimidated by that routing process?
The cool thing about routing a game yourself is that you can go in it, basically just play the game casually but a little bit fast, and you'll still learn something. And most of the time, how I approach routing is literally to just play it casually over and over again. And you know, occasionally during those casual playthroughs, I'll have skip ideas and be like, oh, this makes sense. Sometimes I'll run into something that I've never seen before, and I'll be like, oh, interesting. That's helpful. But it really is just getting familiar with the game, because you can't route something without being familiar with the game, right? So you've got to explore all of the nooks and crannies of everything. Without that knowledge, you're really kind of not setting a good foundation, if that makes sense, where then someone with more knowledge, after you've done a little bit of routing, can potentially come in and build on that. And I think that's actually what's really interesting, is that I'm at the point where it doesn't take much to convince a friend or two to pick up a game. I have people that I enjoy being around that are also variety runners like me. So I can find some weird game, I can show it to one of my friends, and they'll be like, wait, this is cool as hell. I'm going to get on this. And then they also bring their time way down and showcase it for other events. And it's really cool. I've gotten a few friends have gotten GDQ runs in that way. And it's actually really awesome. It's so fun to see that kind of spread of the success. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about runs that don't necessarily have their own established community as being a chance for you to build your own community and to get your really community into a new game. I think that's something people don't always realize about games that don't already have like an established route or community. Like, you can do that yourself. And it's more work, but like it's fun and it's rewarding. Is there anything about this run specifically that you want to like call attention to? Are there any interesting sequences or tricks or anything like that in the Stephanie run?
Yeah, there are a bunch of really weird skips. I'll also say the category I'm doing is the longer completionist category, because frankly, any percent is really bad. I didn't say that. It's complicated as to why. But the completionist category has a bunch of extra links, and that adds in a bunch of really unique routing. I think in particular, the game is divided into sections, and they are called layers. And there are 3 layers, kind of like an onion. I guess a shallot, because it's only 3. But the second layer has, the third layer has a chamber that is surrounded by water, and instead of interacting with any of the platforms, we use a glitch called photo mode clips in order to sink below the water's kill plane and then run around the water to link with all the species in the chamber. And it's really dope. You just like do it over and over, and you can skip literally this like huge building. It's like literally like a Microsoft Office looking building. It's funny.
Are there any other indie projects coming up that you are excited about that you want to shout out?
I do have 139 games on my Steam wish list. Most of them are unreleased. So I could answer this question and it'd take the rest of the marathon. With the amount of games that I actually am excited for. But, a small handful of them that I think are really, really interesting and unique in what they do. There's obviously the Big Catch. If you've ever talked to me, I'm really normal about that one. Oh, wait, hold on, pause. Big Catch is literally in this event. I forgot.
Oh, right.
I'm commentating that run. Big Catch tackle box later tomorrow after Stephanie. That run is awesome. It's so cool. There's Eternity Egg, which is releasing next month and looks ridiculous. It's like Silksong if it was on Windows XP, and also a 3D platformer. 500 caliber contracts, which is like Hitman if it had movement sauce. Tricking the Dreamcaster is a Dreamcast-inspired platformer that is really ridiculously fun. Motor Slice is a parkour platformer where you kill construction vehicles? I don't know. It's like Shadow of the Colossus. There's Crescent Overload, which is a like Y2K Metroidvania, really dope. And on the note of Y2K Metroidvanias, Electrokinetic, which is made by the same dev of Pseudo Regalia, if you've heard of that game. It's a roguelike Metroidvania kind of roguelike platformer. It looks really dope. I'm really excited for that one. Again, I could answer with like 800 more, but those are ones that I think are doing cool and unique stuff. And I think that's at the core of why I like indie games, is because so many of them do cool and unique stuff that you'll never see from anyone else. It's always a passion project of just a handful of people or some wild idea that they've explored. And I think being able to explore that from a speedrunning lens tends to add to it because every game has their own unique mechanics in a speedrun. And that ultimately is what I think I value the most out of the runs I do is all of them have something unique. And every time I get to talk about them, there's something unique that I can talk about. Grapple Dogs has like some really ridiculous movement with the grapple hook. And also I do an outfit bid war where people fight over what my dogs look like. And it's awesome. And people get really into it. So every game I run has something unique to it, and I think that's what I really enjoy about indie speedrunning in specific. And I'm glad I got the chance to talk some about it because it is such a big passion of mine.
Yeah, who would have thought games with interesting and unique mechanics lend themselves to interesting and unique speedruns? Whoa! With that, is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to shout out before we get back to the event?
Yeah, I want to take a moment to say thank you, everyone, for running and donating, and keep donating, please. We have a lot of really cool incentives. I'm really excited, in particular, for Super Mario Galaxy 2. That is tomorrow, near our finale. That run is so beast. Oh my god, it's so cool. And there's so many cool games on the schedule. Sorry, I was on games committee for this event, and oh god, y'all really blew us away. So keep watching, keep supporting our runners, keep donating to the Lavender Rights Project, a really excellent charity. Your donations really matter at a time like this. So yeah, let's spread some hope for the holidays, everyone.